Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Garrett, back with you to do another episode of Canescast. And yeah, it was a disappointing week for the Miami Hurricanes to go into NC State's territory and come out with a loss. I did feel like the offense going into that game was not on a good trajectory. So I did see what I really had seen the previous two games, is that they aren't pulling their weight. The defense, I think, held their own. I thought they had 20 points against them when the offense has put up, in this case, six points last week. That's not insurmountable. I think the defense held their end of the bargain up. I think that was good enough to win the game. But the offense just isn't coming to play in these last several weeks. Even though we were able to pull out the victory against Clemson, and then again we were able to beat Virginia in overtime, it just wasn't looking good. You can't expect to go on the road 3 weeks in a row and win close games when you're not capable of hitting big plays. You're not capable of holding drives together. In this case, we were turning the ball over quite a bit. When the defense did get NC State to turn their ball over on their end, our offense just turned around and gave the ball right back. So we weren't getting those extra possessions to play out in our favor. So what are we going to expect? This is going to be a shorter episode because really I can't say anything really good about TBD. He didn't look comfortable. He doesn't look like he's ready to go. For whatever reason, the coaching staff is still again choosing to put him out on the field instead of working on development of the younger guys, or finding a way to find an offense that's capable of holding up in the game, where it's kicking game offensively and defensively. It's pretty much that simple. The kicking game's been pretty good. Borregales hasn't been the holding these points off the board a lot of the times. He's for the most part been asked to do what he's been put on the field. He's been coming through. So the defensive team, again, just at some point you're gonna run out of steam. There are gonna be big plays put up against you, but you were doing your end. So where are we going to be at offensively going into the game coming up ahead, which is Florida State? Again, we're going on the road to Florida State's house, and they are undefeated so far this year. They're one of the top 5 teams in the country by all accounts. The way if they keep going is going to be one of the college football playoff teams. So is Miami up to the challenge of going into their house and then pulling off a big upset? I would have to say my prediction is that Miami Hurricanes will lose a second game in a row. It doesn't feel good to let those words come out of my mouth, because Florida State is one of those teams that I really do not like to have success, one, but two, I don't like to see so much farther ahead of what Miami is currently in the 2023 season. So why is Florida State so far ahead of us? I would like to dig into that a little bit, because what I've been saying in previous episodes in Canescast is that this team for Florida State has done what I think we should have done last year, which was take our losses, go ahead and put a guy that didn't have a lot of experience, get him on the field, allow him to make those progressions. You can't learn as a quarterback how to win games until you are on the field, allowed to make a few mistakes. You're obviously in their case, he was an athletic guy. He started his career out in Louisville and he transferred into Florida State very early on. So this is his 3rd or 4th year starting for Florida State. Now he's really got his game rolling in the right direction. If you will recall, Miami was able to get our last victory against Florida State. We actually thumped them really good, and it was Jordan Travis that was on the field. He didn't look good. We really had his number, but what they were doing at that time was committing to him being the quarterback year 2, 3, and 4, and now that commitment is now really taking hold, and that's what you're now going to see. Is I believe this weekend they will be a mighty opponent. They will have good offensive turnout. They got a great running back, Benson, number 3 for them. I think he's going to have big numbers. I don't necessarily think the Miami Hurricanes defense is a weakness, but I do expect that if our offense that we've been putting out on the field now 3 weeks in a row is going to go up and put out that kind of performance that we had against NC State, that Florida State's defense is much more talented and much more adept at going ahead and shutting down our non-existent passing game. So how ugly is that going to get? I think they will get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I don't think the offensive line is actually a problem. I think we are doing the right things on the offensive line, getting young player, on the right tackle, good experience. I thought we had good transfers come in, center and the left guard, to go ahead and take some problem areas and then solidify them. I thought, our left tackle, he was moved around and then has been the starter here at left tackle the entire season. I don't think he's really the weakness. I also think Cooper, our right guard, is he's still a young guy. He's got some good football ahead of him, but he's played every game, started every game at right guard. We're doing the right things on the offensive line, but this is what I can't quite get behind, is that we're not doing the things that Mario Cristobal sees on the offensive line that we need to do to be a good football team, but he won't do that in the other areas of the team that are really going to hold us back next year. So again, we're putting TVD out in the field, letting him not lead us to victory, and then now where are we going to be at next year when it's time to, I will tell you my predictions is TVD doesn't stick around this next year. If he continues in these performances, he's either going to get replaced and they will either transfer to another team. If he takes what he's doing this year and he goes out and tries to go out into the pros, so if he enters his name for the draft, I think that's going to be a huge mistake. I think he's played pretty crappy football for the last 2 years. To sit there and say you're going to trust your one-year starter and half the season's film that he did have some success, and then you're going to try to go into the pros, I think that's a huge mistake. So his momentum is clearly going down, and I don't know why you would take your chances and go into the NFL draft. You will not get drafted in a good spot for the team to commit to you. If you're a heck of a football player and things are just not going right for you, which is a very, very big shot at this point. I don't think it's necessarily he's not getting protection. He doesn't have weapons around him, so it's not really on the team around TVD at Miami this year why the problem is. But we gave him the benefit of the doubt that the program was not good last year. We didn't have the talent. We didn't have the scheme to fit him. And now we're not now looking at 2 years in a row where that is certainly not the case. Because, again, I think we have a decent offensive coordinator that if he gets a chance, because Clayton Tune was able to start his rookie season for the Cardinals this year, and it did not go well. He did not have success, but that's not really on Clayton Tune. I thought he showed it if you watched going into the season when we wanted to find out what our offensive coordinator was all about. I think he has the skill set. He's athletic. He's a big guy. I think he can throw the ball. Tank Dell, if you watched the Houston Texans, that kid's really starting to separate himself. He's got a good guy throwing him the football. I've seen C.J. Stroud throw in person. I was at the Rose Bowl when they played Utah, and the game was just absurd offensive production. I was in that stadium watching that game, and you could tell that there was an extreme amount of talent on that field. One is now the best receiver in the land, and I was there for his first 3 touchdowns he ever gained was Marvin Harrison Jr. So you can see with your eyes, not just on film, that there was talent there. So Tank Dell, Clayton Tune showed that Houston was doing some good things. So I don't think, again, this is all on Shannon Dawson. Again, I've said given praise to Lance Guidry. I think he's the guy that will, if he sticks around, he will be a successful defensive coordinator for the Miami Hurricanes. Shannon Dawson, I think, needs to get whatever it is. If it's Shannon Dawson's decision to keep TVD out there, then I do think this is a problem. I don't think that's the case. If it's my guessing, I think that's Mario Cristobal's choice to keep throwing TVD out there, and that's what he wants to see. And I think that's where we are getting way behind in the offensive ground in this 2023 season at the end, and now closing out the season. So I think all the makings of unfortunately, guys, I'm going to call it as a big victory for Florida State. I don't see how we, showing the things that we've been showing here, are going to go out and then all of a sudden beat a team that's really one of the better college football teams in college football. They've been doing the things right in the last 2-3 years, going out and grabbing guys, talented guys all over the country, bringing them into their program, and then gaining success with those guys, developing the quarterback in the position and giving him the benefit of the doubt to lose early in his career. But now that's really paying off in dividends here, and they beat us last year soundly, kicked our butt. I totally expect that's what we will see again in 2023, is that a real solid victory for them, because they have dangerous, big, physical receivers for him to throw the ball up. He's athletic to get out of the pocket and scramble and hurt us on the ground, which I've been calling for. And then they have a great running game. They have 2 or 3 outside of Benson, their number 1 running back. They have a decent, talented running back field, and then a decent enough offensive line to get them and help and win the game that way if that's what they choose. So sucks. I hate losing to Florida State. As I've said in the past, by all accounts, if Miami goes out there and somehow gets a big victory, happy to be wrong. This guy will be happy to be wrong. You can come back to you and shoot another episode and say I will eat a bunch of crow. I might even go out and find some crow to eat right here on the next episode of Canescast. So thank you guys so much for watching Canescast. Go out there, show your friends where we are out on YouTube. Help us get some more subscribers. Keep watching these videos, and it's always all about the you. Whether it's win or victory, or we are losing to our rivals, it doesn't matter. I'll still be here to tell you what I think. Can't wait to see you here in the future. Thanks, guys.